Hey guys, today is welcome back to the vlog. I'm not sure if I'm changing the name of the vlog to what I'm shifting my entire brand to actually be. So I'm just gonna say welcome back to the vlog until I completely make a decision. But within this vlog, I'm going to share part of my podcast recording because I want to bring a visual aspect to it. Actually, no. I'm going to record the whole entire podcast episode. So this will pretty much be an intro to the vlog, which in this vlog episode will be the podcast episode. My podcast, Conversations with a Goddess, is on Spotify, Google Podcast, and Anchor. So you can check it out if you would like. It is about spiritual elevation, spiritual upliftment, self-help, and self-care. So yeah, because I am shifting everything that my brand was, I have decided to start adding a visual aspect to the podcast. So here it goes. So if this is something that you would be interested in, please make sure to stay tuned. Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with the Goddess. It is I, your goddess, Tia Danielle. I hope that you all are well and that you find this podcast episode in good spirits, and that anything that is discussed during this podcast somehow resonates with your being. And if so, and you think that it would resonate with someone else as well, please make sure that you share this podcast episode. So, I am doing things a bit different now. When it comes to the podcast, I am switching things around with my brand, and because of that, I have decided to start I've decided to start adding a visual aspect to the podcast. So I am also recording visually for my YouTube channel. This is going to be very interesting for me because the way I record this podcast is I am very much how I am, comfortable in my zone, in my altar space. And not to say that I am always put together on my YouTube channel, because I am not. I will come on as real as can be. But I just feel like maybe with a podcast visual, and my YouTube viewers can definitely let me know, and maybe some podcasts I will switch it up. But I just somewhat feel like with the visual podcast, people are wanting to see you look a little bit more put together. And if you watch this on YouTube, you will see my attire at this current moment. But anyway, we are here. We are on YouTube. YouTube is getting to see how I record the podcast. No fancy setup here, but you do what you have to do with what you have until further notice. Okay, so this podcast episode is going to talk about closure. I was having a conversation with a very, very good, great, amazing friend of mine. And they brought up closure, and we both agreed that closure does not exist. Yeah. We believe that closure does not exist. And I will tell you why I believe closure doesn't exist. First of all, I didn't even know about closure or what it was or what it was supposed to be until maybe in my late 20s, maybe. And honestly, the first time that I heard about it was watching an episode of the television show Friends. That's right, I was watching an episode of Friends, and Rachel was trying to find closure with Ross, right? And so once I realized that that is something that I had been searching for from a couple of beings prior to that, I said, yeah, that's what it is. I need closure. And for years, I wrapped my head around needing closure from every major experience that affected me in a negative way in my life. And I felt like I could not move forward or allow myself to move forward if I did not have that closure. So I was basing my happiness, I was basing my forgiveness of myself in a couple of these situations on someone else's doing or lack of. I was sitting there hoping for said individuals to open themselves up enough to have a conversation about where it went wrong, about what I was so upset about pertaining to said situation, what made me so sad, how I was feeling. I was waiting for that person to open up enough and have these conversations. I was waiting for said individuals to apologize to me for what had been done so that I can find closure and move forward. Do you hear how crazy that sounds? Do you hear how impossible that sounds? Because I'm sure with most of us out there looking for closure in a situation, whether it be a relationship between your parents and yourself, whether it's a relationship between an ex and yourself, whether it's a relationship between, who knows, a best friend and yourself. You're out there waiting for closure, and I can guarantee you're never going to get it until you take it upon yourself to reflect on the situation yourself, think about why those situations didn't work, think about where you could have been if said situation had continued, and look at yourself now. And until you take it upon yourself to tap in spiritually and realize that every experience serves a purpose in your growth process, in your journey, and until you elevate higher. Closure doesn't exist, but elevation most certainly does. Closure doesn't exist, but elevation most certainly does. If you allow yourself to tap into yourself and to work on yourself and stop waiting for said individuals to say or do something that they will never ever say or do. I have been lied to over and over and over again about conversations that were going to happen that never happened. I've heard apology after apology that to me wasn't sincere. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it one bit. And you just realize that everyone's actions are all based off of something that they grew up around, how someone reacted to them. So you can't expect certain things from certain people, and you can't sit around waiting for this thing called closure to happen and think everything is going to be great. Okay, so the person apologizes. Now what? Now what? Okay, so you had the conversation. Now what? Sometimes when a person leaves, you probably should never ever see that person ever again. But you want this closure so bad. And here comes this person reappearing because you want this closure so bad, only to be lied to and put you even more into a state of sadness, a state of uncertainty, a state of being stuck because you feel like you can't move forward because you didn't get the closure that you needed. Tap into yourself. Forgive yourself for said situation so that you may elevate higher and be able to move forward in your life. Tap into yourself, forgive yourself so that you are able to move forward and elevate higher in this life. This may actually be the shortest podcast episode ever because that is my message for you today, people. My beautiful beings, that is all that I have for you today. I hope that this episode truly resonates with someone. You can find me at Hello Beautiful the brand on Instagram. You can leave me a DM. Let me know how this episode made you feel. If you haven't listened to past episodes yet, please take the time out while you're driving. Listen to a couple of past episodes. Let me know how they made you feel. And for my YouTube viewers, please let me know, how the visual aspect of this first visual episode, how you like it. I 90% of the time will be how I am. But there may be a couple of episodes where I, change it up a bit. Who knows? But I want to thank my YouTube viewers for watching, and I want to thank my audio listeners for listening. I appreciate your time, and I will catch you all on the next episode of Conversations with the Goddess.